Hello, folks. My name's J.W.Haynes, and I'll be talking to you about a lot of different things that a lot of people probably don't want to deal with or don't want to talk about or that sort of thing. And I'm going to try to bring you a different perspective on what is transpiring. And we'll be able to talk about pretty much whatever y'all want to talk about. But the first few episodes here are going to be about tariffs and the problems that we're seeing there. It's going to be about the deportation, the invasion of the southern border of the U.S. that President Trump stopped, thank God. It's going to be about our budget, how deep we are in debt, how deep we really are. We've been living way beyond our means for 30, 40 years now. And, back in the 60s, pretty much, if you didn't, unless it was a house or a piece of property or something like that, I mean, you pretty much really didn't have credit, except maybe at the grocery store, paying for pay for your groceries at the end of the month, that sort of thing. And nowadays everybody lives on credit. That we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about homeless veterans, which I'm a Marine veteran, and I feel like there shouldn't be one homeless veteran in the United States anywhere unless he wants to be that way. He has earned the right to be that way if he would like to be that way. But, due to PTSD and everything else and a lot of things that those men and women saw, sometimes they just can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. We're going to discuss that. One thing that I would like to discuss today is, they're talking about Putin and Zelensky being at war. Well, if that's the case, why do they have planes flying right outside the Alaskan coast there of the Bering Sea, and they're both Ukrainian and Russian? So are they trying to pull the wool over our eyes, so to speak? Will there be an attack from them? Have they teamed up? I mean, there's a lot of things out there that are worth talking about. I don't know if America doesn't care anymore, or if we're just to a point to where we're so busy trying to worry about the almighty dollar, and husband and wife both work. It takes two incomes nowadays to buy all these big houses and everything else. And I mean, we got wants, needs, and desires in life. And now, by the time you're 30, if you want a brand new $100,000 truck and you can afford one by it being, by you coming in underneath your debt to income ratio of say 33% to buy it, then they're going to sell it to you. And then you turn around and buy a house, and people don't think. Um, it's just, I'm just in awe in the fact of how the Americans, we as a people, are not doing anything to help ourselves and turn around and get rid of some of this debt that we have, because we don't even know who we owe. I don't. I do not know. And, everybody can guess, but who really knows? And who really knows what the amount is? It's like these tariffs, they're a good way of President Trump getting some income in for the United States to pay towards our debt without us having to pull a lot of money out of our pockets at one time. For instance, let's say that every person in the United States need to pay $10,000 over the next 4 years. And so if you have a household of four, you owe $40,000 over the next 4 years. So what do? Do you go to the bank and borrow $40,000 if you have that capability? Or would you rather say, well, it's one of those things that we'll just do the tariffs, and they won't affect everybody directly today. It only affects what we want to buy. And that's a huge thing, because the American public, we have become nothing more than a bunch of consumers. And it's sad to say. Thank goodness for the farmers out there. Thank goodness for the soldiers out there that are protecting our country. But other than that, we have definitely become a country of consumers. I'm going to discuss the fact of how lazy Americans have become. We're so lazy now that you don't even have to go to the store to buy your groceries. You can push a button this evening and buy something, and it'll be delivered tomorrow. If maybe in the middle of the night, and all you got to do is get up off the couch and walk to the door and open the door, pick up the present, open the present, or whatever it may be, open it up and say, oh, there it is. Well, that's good for the people that are shut-ins and everything else. Everybody, or not everyone, but most of America wants immediate gratification. And so they look at something and go, well, should I go shopping for it? Or will it be okay for me I'll just buy it right now, don't go to the store and look at it. I mean, I'll just buy it. I got 30 days to send it back if I want. Well, I don't know how many of those send stuff back, but it's basically a deal that we've gotten ourselves into that is going to be very, very, very hard to get out. And I am very happy to say that President Trump is handling our situation that we have right now, not because of his color, religion, or anything else. I am glad that he was elected president because he has done more, and since he became elected, he's done a lot since I've seen in my lifetime already. And the man's a common sense man, and he knows it. The way he's doing it now, they say the taxes need to be on the rich more. Well, guess what? If you go buy a $20,000 new car, and that's what you can afford, and the tariff's 20%, you're going to pay $4,000 more for the car than you would. So the rich guy that goes out there and buys a $1 million car, that guy's having to pay, or $1.4 million, that guy's having to pay $400,000. And so a tariff is a very good way to keep our trade partners out there honest, number one, but also take care of some of our debt, number two. I want you to think about something. How much of the stuff do you order do you need? How much of the stuff that you order do you want? And over a 6-month period of ordering stuff, a lot of trinkets and this and that and other, what's that stuff really worth? Let's say you spent $500 a month on stuff, and 6 months, that's $3,000. So you bought $3,000 worth of stuff, and you decide to sell it in a garage sale, and it brings $50. Have you ever thought about it like that? And so anyway, we're going to go into a lot of different things. We're going to have, I'm sure, quite a bit of difference in opinions when it comes to the way I think and the way that Americans are acting. Their actions speak louder than their words. I said what I did a minute ago about the Russians and the Ukrainians being together and off the Alaska coast, because that's about, people believe it. I don't know how, I don't know why, but, somebody could come on and actually say that, and there would be people out there believing that they're sitting off the coast. Either that or they would have to be in, I don't know if they would dig enough to find out or not. But it's one of those things that it's time to get some common sense back. College educations are great, but it's time for common sense. It's a sad situation, and I feel very bad for our future generations coming up unless we handle this now, which we are doing. And hopefully it will continue to go that way. We're going to talk about the previous administrations, what in the world they were thinking by leaving all the brand new high-tech tanks and weapons, ammunition, and everything else in Afghanistan. Crazy. Craziest thing I've ever seen. That was billions upon billions of dollars, and you just go off and leave it. But that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is whose hands is all that in now? I don't think we have to worry about Hezbollah, or I don't think we have to worry about any ISIS or any of that, really, so to speak, is in regards to a large threat to the United States as of right now. But we have one growing that we don't even know the name, because they've got our tanks, they've got our artillery, they've got everything that we left behind in Afghanistan. Plus, they've got all the ammunition that they need to hold on for a while. And so, that was a very idiotic thing to do. I don't know who called the shot, but ultimately, the President of the United States knew what was going on. And that being the case, it's like a slap in the face to a veteran, especially your men and women that were there, which I greatly appreciate and want to thank them for their service. We should have done something different other than leaving it all behind just to have them get it. I don't care if we just blew it all up. We would have been better off. But anyway, we're going to talk about a lot of different things, a lot of different things that's going on in the U.S. Mainly it'll be, I'm not going to say politics as much as I am just common sense, just a good old common sense deal. If you've got a flat tire on your car, do you keep driving for next 100 miles, you're not going to get that far anyway, or do you pull over and change it? It's time for us to take a checkup from the neck up as American people. And, if we stopped spending $20 a month, it would make a difference. The credit card companies are killing it at this moment, but there is a lot of liability out there in the future in regards to everything that's going on in the world as we speak. I do expect to have some controversy over this, but if you can show me a different common sense way of looking at it or solution, I'm more than happy to listen. But as of right now, we're in a bad shape, and we need to get our head out of the sand, because it's going to continue to get worse. My grandfather, when I was 5 years old, told me I was worried about the Russians and the Cold War and all that, and his words were, quote unquote, "Son, you don't have to worry about the Russians." He said, "The Chinamen will take our country and never fire a shot." He wasn't an educated man, but he had a lot of common sense. And I think that he passed some of that along to me, thank God. And I am a common sense, right or wrong kind of man. And so anyway, I look forward to talking with y'all, and let's just taking a look at this thing and dissecting it down some. I mean, I'm not going to beat stuff to death. It's just my common sense approach to it and what's, I think's really going on. And like I said, there's no planes or anything else flying outside of Alaska's airspace there. But once again, I do want you to go to bed tonight and think about it. Would you really believe that? Because it used to be 20, 30 years ago, you went into the grocery store and the last thing that you saw before you walked out at the stand, at one of the stands there while you were checking out, were these magazines. And, you had National Enquirer, Globe, all that kind of stuff, People read it back then. It's not a new thing. Elvis is still alive, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But people thought of the magazines as more of entertainment than news. What we're getting today is the news is entertaining you. And the reason they want to entertain you is because they want your ratings. And so that is the way it works. It's all about the dollar. And unfortunately, we have gotten to a country where that's where we're at. I do not agree with it. It's going to take a lot of fixing. And do I think President Trump can fix all this in 4 years? No. Now, I think that's why he was possibly talking a third term, because he realized he can't fix it all in 4 years. Is he trying? Yes, he is. And he's doing a good job. I do not agree with everything, but I do say overall as a president, he is doing a good job. If you look back in the past with the stock market, everybody was scared to death, or a couple months ago when all these tariffs first came out, stock market's going down. Oh my God, the world's going to end. Well, guess what? It didn't end. And we'll see a lot more tougher times before we see something like that minute again. But our position is that we'll be sitting looking from a little bit better position because we've got a little bit more money in our piggy bank. So anyway, I appreciate y'all listening to me. We'll be doing I'll be doing podcasts a week as of right now, and then hopefully go on up to do one a day or something and talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. But we will be talking about some very controversial stuff, and I will be explaining my common sense approach to it. Don't expect you to believe in me, follow me, anything else. All I ask you to do is listen. That's all. Just listen. You make your own mind up. You make your own decision. Don't be the sheep out there that's what we've become. And we're letting the news media tell us which way we're going. The news media is our shepherds, and it's not supposed to work that way. And so anyway, I just wanted to say thank y'all. I appreciate your time. My name's J.W.Haynes, and I'll be talking to y'all shortly. Thank you. God bless America, and God bless John Wayne.